Welcome to Expand Your Empire, the podcast where women stop deferring wealth and start building financial power. I'm Amanda Taylor, investor, strategist, and disruptor of outdated money rules. It's time to own your worth, grow your assets, and build a legacy that lasts.
Hey everyone. So I know last week I promised you we'd be talking about cash flow, and we will. That is going to come next week for sure. But I decided to switch things up a bit because I had promised this was coming and I decided to plug it in here. So, sometimes a conversation just comes and I decided everyone needs to hear this right now. So a while back, you guys got to hear from Meaghan Young, my jewelry designer friend who was building an amazing business, and we started talking about Bitcoin. And here's the thing. I'm the person who goes around telling everyone, you need to be investing, you need to be learning, you need to diversify your wealth building strategies. But Bitcoin, that was my blind spot, like embarrassingly so. So when Meaghan offered to come back and basically give me Bitcoin 101, I was like, yes. So we recorded this because if I need to learn this, so do a lot of other people. And this conversation is exactly what it sounds like. It's me asking all the questions that I was too intimidated to ask before, and Meaghan breaking it down into actual human language, at least as much as possible. So that's what we're doing today. Cash flow is coming next week, and today we're talking about Bitcoin. So let's go. All right. Welcome back to Expand Your Empire today, guys. I'm very excited to have back Meaghan Young. If you'll remember just a few episodes ago, we had her here to talk about her amazing jewelry business and wealth building and all the amazing things that she's doing. And of course, we went off on a little tangent about Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, this is a whole other episode. We've got to have you back. So we're doing it today. We're having you back. So thanks, Meaghan, for coming back and hanging with us and teaching us everything that you know about Bitcoin, because I will be the first to admit it's not my forte. I'm, sitting here going out into the world telling everybody you need to be investing, you need to be learning, you need to be doing all these things. And that's probably the one area that I'm like, I know nothing. I think I told you I'm like Michael Scott with the surplus in that episode, talking to Oscar. I'm like, explain it to me like I'm five.
Right.
Because really, and we kind of talked about this before, it's more of a mindset shift in how we think about money than it is learning, just a concept, I guess. So I'm really excited to have you back today. So thanks for being here. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking with you. So this
Oh,
is fun and I love it. So thank you so much
right.
for having me back.
Yeah. So like me, and I think a lot of people, for somebody who hears Bitcoin and immediately thinks like risky or complicated or scary or what, how do you explain what Bitcoin actually is in like plain English? Again, explain it to me like I'm five.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try.
Yeah. And that's the
Um,
thing. I know you, as much as you, well, you know what? Scratch that. I'm going to go back. How did you even get here? Let's start over. Like, how did you even get to where like, oh, this is a thing that not only am I going to start doing, but I'm going to be really passionate about and I'm going to talk to other people about.
that's actually a really great start because honestly, to understand Bitcoin, you really need to understand what is sound money, what makes money money.
Mhm.
And because I'm a jeweler and I have been studying precious metals for all these years, that's, back to that 2009 financial crisis. That's when I started studying. Okay, I'm a silversmith. I have all the silver. What do I actually have? I didn't even know. And so there are certain properties that make money money, and silver and gold have been used as money for 7,000 years, right? Um, and so, for example, some of those properties are that it's divisible, it's portable, it's durable, it's fungible, which means a dollar here is the same as a dollar over there. Well, dollar is a currency, but we'll get to that in a second. Um, and it's also scarce,
Mhm.
right? So there are these certain properties that make money. And historically, the best forms of that have been silver and gold
Mhm.
until now, because actually it's not that scarce. Gold and silver are really not that scarce.
Yeah.
It's just expensive to mine, right? And
Yeah.
it's definitely not portable. Like you can't take $10 million worth of gold through the airport with you, right?
No.
So actually Bitcoin it is a currency. So a currency is a medium of exchange.
Mhm.
It's payments, right? So there's a difference between a currency and real sound money, or they call it hard money, right? And so Bitcoin is actually both. It's a currency and it's money. And it's harder money than silver and gold for the very reason that you can literally fly anywhere in the world with, we'll get to this later, but the keys to that ownership of your Bitcoin in your head,
Right.
right? So you can
Yeah.
take $10 million anywhere in the world with you. Or you can send it to anyone in the entire world in seconds with nobody. It's peer to peer. So it's
Mhm.
actually even better because, right, like you can't, I'm not going to send you a bar of gold
Right.
in seconds.
No.
So it's really about studying what is money before even starting to understand what Bitcoin is. Um, my favorite way of explaining it, which I don't think it really is for a 5-year old, but is this, and I didn't come up with this. I read it on X, and I have no idea who said it, but it's a mathematically engineered money that's created with electricity. So it's digital money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also completely separate than cryptocurrency. So, yes, it's a cryptocurrency, but when people talk about crypto, it's this whole other thing over here. Cryptocurrencies are like technology projects,
Mhm.
where Bitcoin is money. So there's like something, I don't even know, like crazy amount of cryptocurrencies out there.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is the only one that's money. And that's why it's its own category altogether.
Yeah. I think that is a misconception or misnomer that people put them together a lot of the times. And um, so thank you for pointing that out. We want to, it's like, Bitcoin is crypto, but crypto is not Bitcoin, or vice versa, one or the other. It is a digital
Currency.
asset,
Yes.
currency.
It's an asset, it's a currency, it's money, it's a technology protocol. I mean, it's so many things.
Yeah.
But it's not grouped up with crypto. It's its
Okay.
own separate thing
I
altogether.
think people lump those together a lot. I did. I didn't know they were different
Yeah.
up until, a few months ago. And speaking of gold and silver, yes, my partner and I had part of a gold mine in Alaska
Ooh,
last
fun.
year. And you're right. It's like that that whole industry is wild. But the actual physical mining of it, you talk about you can get it, it's work. And I mean, everybody's not everybody. If you've watched any of the Discovery Show and the gold mining stuff, like that's real. Like we're just like, where do we go to dig this hole to find this gold? But Bitcoin, so that is a tangible, physical asset. Now, Bitcoin, it's just who made it up? It's the same with money. Like somebody just made this up but they tied it to the value of gold and silver at the time, correct? When somebody made like dollars and bills? No? Okay.
No, no.
That's just another
That's a
made
good
up
question,
thing.
though.
That's just another made up thing.
So Bitcoin was created by someone named Satoshi Nakamoto.
Hmm. Yep.
Nobody knows who that is.
Right.
Um, and it came out into the world. Um, well, its birth date is January 3rd, 2009, right? But it has so much to do with like cryptography, which is it. If you actually research it, people were working on some stuff like this for 40 years before it actually came out. And the reason it was created was because our current financial system is designed to siphon our wealth away
100%.
through things like inflation, which is completely created. And it was created because it's peer to peer, so there's no middle person, right? There's nobody in charge of it. There's no CEO. Nobody can control it. It's completely decentralized and open source, so anybody can verify it at any time. When you think about the dollar, like the Federal Reserve, for example, they haven't been audited since then. They were 1913, 1914. Okay. So nothing is verified. Money is just, that's how money gets laundered. And I mean, there's so much corruption, right?
Uh-huh.
Bitcoin can be verified. And, we'll all talk about all of
Is that
this.
blockchain? And yeah.
Yes. Yes. So and I think you will love it because it's a system.
Hmm.
It's a verifiable system that is audited every 10 minutes.
Got it.
And every single transaction is recorded on the blockchain forever and ever and ever, and everybody can see it if they so choose.
Right.
Um,
There's a trail that
yeah,
cannot
so the
be,
blockchain is a ledger or,
yeah,
a spreadsheet
yeah.
that
And
can
it
never be
cannot
altered.
be altered. Right, 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 right. Like I'm trying to put this in the most basic terminology. So we remove all the buzzwords and really talk about the problem it was created to solve. And I think you've alluded to that. Like we're getting rid of the control over here that's kept us from, like you said, keeping for us from growing wealth. But another thing I want to point out is um, other countries, like America is one thing, but in other countries, their valuation of their dollar or whatever their currency is can change hour by hour. So if someone gets paid on Friday, by the time they cash their check on Monday, they've lost money. This is what I've heard, and you can verify this. But when we come to Bitcoin, it they are better off. I'm not explaining this well, but
Oh, no,
they're
you're doing
better
great. Yeah.
off because those things aren't as it's not as volatile as their dollars. So we're we're creating more opportunities, sustainability across everyone, not just America has this dollar, Venezuela has this dollar, Honduras has this dollar. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more I don't say inclusive, but it's more
It is.
standardized across it's more inclusive across everyone, right?
I mean, yeah, because anybody, anywhere from any background, any religion, any race, any gender, it doesn't like it's completely neutral. So
Right,
yes, it is incredibly inclusive.
right.
Um, and to go back to what you were saying about the dollar, I mean, just yesterday, the US dollar went down.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so um, it's, I mean, they're weakening. Well, if you there's a lot happening right now. Okay, so what I love the study of macroeconomics, and that's
Mhm.
the study of how money moves through the economy globally.
Mhm.
All right, so there's a lot happening right now. The yen is in trouble, and so the US is going to intervene by
Right.
selling treasuries to buy yen, which is weakening the dollar.
Mhm.
But supposedly, weakening the dollar is actually good for our country because it makes our goods cheaper for, people in other countries to purchase and all these things. However, at the same time, it's decreasing our purchasing power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We so I have three businesses, but our Metropolis Business Development, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out, and ever since COVID, the front page has had the consumer price index to note our purchasing power. So in March of 2020, the US dollar purchasing power was $1, and it's going down. At the current pace, our price is going to double, I think, by 2049. It's decreased 19% since the start of the pandemic.
And that's because they printed 40% of the money supply.
Exactly. They're just making this shit up, so to speak. And
Right.
so
And to go even a little bit deeper, so our dollar used to be backed by gold until
that's what, yeah, that was the point I was, yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
until 1971. And so Nixon took us off the gold standard, and ever since then they've been able to print money however much they want.
Right.
But when they do that, what they're
They're
doing is
devaluing.
yeah, they're increasing the money supply. So this is what creates inflation,
Hmm.
because when you're increasing the money supply, those dollars are all competing for the same goods and services.
Exactly.
And that's what makes them rise. And so a lot of people, they're like, oh, corporations or price gouging and stuff. It's so much deeper than that. It's the financial,
It's a byproduct of the financial system that we're under.
right.
And you don't even want to talk about corporations. I work with small businesses all the time. And the thing that we have to do with them most often is increase their prices. Why? It's that trickle down effect because everything costs more, right? So
Right.
it's not just corporations, it's starting and it's flowing all the way down. It's just a nonstop ripple effect of all of this happening. And so everybody has to raise their prices and everybody has to feel the effects, and then everybody has to just suffer. And so we're going off on a tangent about how horrible the American financial system is, and I agree. But that's the one we live under now. But things are changing, and you're bringing that to light with Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is functioning like a banking system, you said your personal banking system, can you walk us through that comparison in a way that makes it feel familiar?
Sure. So if you have a bank account
Mhm.
and you've got all your money sitting in there, which is a horrible thing to do.
Yes, agree. I say that all the time on here, so
Yes, I
there's
know
nothing
you
new.
do. Um, well, okay. So I use this, okay, there's exchanges, okay? Like
Yep.
Coinbase, for example, it's like the most well-known one. It's
Yes.
similar to having a bank account. I don't recommend using Coinbase, by the way, not at all, but I'm just using it as a reference, right? So when you use an
Good to know.
exchange, it's basically a bank account. And like I use this company called River Financial, and they're just the original Bitcoin guys. They only sell Bitcoin, that's all. And I can actually, yes, I can purchase Bitcoin through them, but I can also park my cash over there and earn 3 to 4% on it while it's just sitting there. How,
Great.
I mean, what is the percent? We don't even, what, it's
A
like
high
point
yield
zero
savings
one.
account. Well, at a bank, yes, like 0.01. Don't do that, please. A high yield savings account right now is like 3.8, probably going down. When I got one, I don't know, a couple years ago, it was like 4 point something, and every quarter it goes down. So yeah,
Right.
like it's 3
Well, okay,
point
let
something.
me let me share this. Okay, so since Bitcoin's inception at 0.0001 of a it's
Hmm.
less than a penny, it's gone up 10 billion% in 16 years. Okay. No bank can do that. No, your money is never going to do that in a bank or a high yield
High
saving.
yield savings, yeah.
Um, so it's a savings tool and
Hmm.
technology, right? So if you have your money sitting in there, and it has a cycle. So Bitcoin is volatile, but it's a feature, not a bug, because it shakes off weak hands, people who are just trading, who have no idea really what they're holding on to, right? Um, but it has a cycle. So if you're nervous about having your money in Bitcoin, you can literally follow the cycle of it's like up, 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 down. And it's significantly down, right? And it's up,
Mm-hmm.
up, 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 down. But if you zoom out, it's just goes like this, right? So yes, it has these down times. And it can also drop 25, 30% in an up year several times, right? So it's just like any investing. We have to understand our own psychology and we have to understand our
Yes,
own emotional bandwidth in order to be in anything, any stocks
absolutely.
or anything at all, right?
I'm
It's-
building a course right now. I'm in the process of putting it together, Investing 101. Like we're just talking about the basics of investing, and a large part of that is understanding our emotional bandwidth, our reactivity to changes and volatility and downtrends in the market, no matter what you're in.
right.
What is your reactivity and what is your capacity to ride that wave? Yeah, that's a huge part of it. And I know my my boyfriend partner, he's gets into day trading every once in a while, and I've watched him with these charts, and he will zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out and all these lines, and it's fascinating. But when you do zoom out, it goes up. If you zoom in, it's like
Yeah.
straight to the bottom. So if you can educate yourself on those trends, on those cycles, and set your expectations appropriately and monitor, how that's going to go and ride the wave, you're going to be okay. Is that what you're saying? For the most
Yeah.
part.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. As much knowledge as you can possibly take in.
Yeah.
I'm kind of obsessed with consuming knowledge, so that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure I answered your question about the banking, but um, it's,
So it
you
acts
know,
like a bank, but where, like, if so, let's say I have a bank account. I have well, for your example, I have a Coinbase wallet, but can I go to the store and buy my groceries with that?
in certain places, so like I could actually, there's ranchers in the United States that I could buy an entire box of beef with right
Mhm.
now using Bitcoin. I could actually buy plane tickets with it. I could, there's a resort in Kauai. We love Kauai. I could stay there and pay them Bitcoin with. So that it's being adopted as a payment, as a currency worldwide. But going back to the banking,
Mhm.
our money's actually not in the bank,
No,
right? So
the
that's
bank is borrowing your money to give to
right,
other
lending
people.
it out. And then
Yes.
like, oh, if you want to go to get $50,000 out of the bank, you can't. Right? So this puts you in control of your own money. And you're not, and the banks are also closed on the weekends. Bitcoin runs 24/7. It's liquid. If you need dollars, you can sell it. And now currently we have to pay capital gains tax on that, but they're trying to get rid of
Right.
that, which would be amazing. But it kind of, you also have to understand the banking system, right? Because that's fractional reserve lending. And
Hmm.
it used to be that they had to keep 10% of our deposits, but since 2020, that's zero now,
Yeah.
right? And they say, oh, well, we have this FDIC insurance and all this stuff. Well, how? I mean, really? I
We've already seen just tiny snippets of that, and it ain't gonna work.
yeah, and actually, silver and gold right now are the banks are in trouble, not just from Bitcoin, but they, like JP and Morgan, for JP Morgan, they have been fined multiple millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in fines for manipulating the gold and, the metals markets.
Mhm.
They make billions and then they get fined millions, right? So it's really kind of a slap on the wrist. But
Yes.
because of what's happening with the prices in gold and silver right now, they don't actually have this physical silver they said that they have. It's
Mm.
like 28 paper promises to each ounce of gold. And so the banking system is very corrupt and it doesn't have your money.
No.
So, and it's not, it closes down and it's
And one
not safe.
day, you know, one day, if in fact we all decide to go to the bank and say, I want my money, it's not there.
It's not there.
It's not there. I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but we're just aware.
Right.
A lot of women, everybody that I work with, understand savings accounts, loans, lines of credit. How does Bitcoin store value? How does it create access? You said it's liquid, um, in a similar way.
Okay,
So,
ask me that one more time.
so like I have a savings account that sits there. I can pull my money out. A loan, I can borrow money and pay interest. A line of credit, same thing. I can use that money. D Bitcoin, it stores value, so it's growing or losing value. Unlike my cash, I mean, yes, that's growing or losing value, but if I have $20,000 in an account, I can pull $20,000 out. It might not be worth as much, but it's still $20,000. Now, can I do that? Like if I have $20,000 in Bitcoin, I'm just using this number, and I decide I need that cash, that's going to be different every day, right?
Um, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit different every single day, but it's still again $20,000. Right? It's the
Yeah.
same kind of concept, but what if you need cash, you're gonna borrow against it because
So it's the same. Okay, borrow against. Love
I mean, you
this
certainly can sell
terminology.
it. You certainly can, but right, we're talking about building wealth. And what do the wealthy do? They borrow against
Borrow
their
against. So that's a term we use all the time here when we're talking about our cash value life insurance policy. Borrow against. What does that look like for Bitcoin?
So the the way I do it is, right, I mean, I have three companies also,
Mhm.
and I have different payment processors and they're constantly throwing capital at me. Right. Oh, do you want to borrow $20,000? Do I need the capital? Do I need the cash flow? If I do, I just borrow it. I take that loan out from them. And then, and the great thing about doing that through your payment processors is it doesn't affect your credit. It's basically a flat fee. And then, as if you're selling things, like I do, programs and courses and all those things, a percentage of each transaction goes to pay off the loan. So you're not even really, you don't even have to worry about it.
Mhm.
And you've got the Bitcoin as collateral. You got it sitting over there. So if you for some reason you weren't make selling as many programs or something, and you need to make a payment on that loan, then you can sell a little bit and make the payment or whatever. Um, you can also they're changing all the banking rules now. So very soon you're going to be able to use Bitcoin as collateral for a mortgage and stuff.
Right,
Um,
right.
Or yeah, so that's how I do it. So if I need some cash flow, that's how I get the capital.
Okay,
But you could also go to a bank and take out a loan, or you can use a credit card.
right.
Those things like
You're using it as collateral.
yeah.
And do most places recognize Bitcoin as collateral?
Well,
Most entities.
they're well, I mean, I don't need to tell, like, so let's say, I use Square and Stripe, for example. I don't need to tell them I have that. They don't know. Well, and actually, guess what? Square, they literally just did this. So someone paid me the other day, they paid an invoice through Square, and I had 50% of it turned into Bitcoin. So I now have a wallet in Square too.
Mm.
It's like it's so
Okay.
cool. It's so cool. Um, but yes, I mean the SEC fought this forever. They, like all these
Of course they did.
corporations, they hate it. The banks hate Bitcoin because they know what it's going to do to them. And so the SEC, all these companies wanted to create these Bitcoin ETFs, right? So an ETF is a leveraged stock that's pegged to an underlying
Right.
asset, gold or oil, whatever. And so, but they kept denying them, denying, and finally they got sued and they lost.
Yeah.
And now we have all of these BlackRock. I hate even saying that name, but they just yesterday they were approved for their own ETF and they're creating their own financial
Oh,
products on top of
jeez.
with Bitcoin now. So it is being adopted more and more and more, and now we're on the verge of banks actually taking it as collateral.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to.
Oh, they have
Uh,
to.
as a, as professional and economical and spreadsheet and business as I am, I got my woo-woo side too. And everything in that world points to basically the fall of our financial system as we know it. And this points to that clearly.
Yes, and thank
Clearly.
you for saying that because I don't want to say it. I mean, I know it, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as positive and inspirational as I can be.
I don't look
But
at
the
it
fact is, it's
as,
cracking.
yeah, but let's not then look at it as a negative. That's why I have this podcast. That's why I have this community. It's not about it being negative. It's about it being what's happening and us being aligned, prepared, and
Exactly.
aware so that, if we know what's coming, we can do something about it. And that's it. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be the end of the world for us.
No,
I
and
don't look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as an opportunity.
oh,
100%.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's why I was saying last time that I have so much hope because Bitcoin is really hope.
Yeah.
It's hope. It's putting money back in the hands of people where it belongs.
Yeah. And, you and I talked last time about both of us have a mission to change the world. And however we're doing it, there are other people doing it too. And this is a collective effort. And I think the world is changing, A, and then there are other people who are, you can look at it one way. You can look at it as the sky is falling. I mean, look outside right now. Look at what's happening. You can easily look at things and the world is going to shit. And we have the awareness, we have the tools, we have um, the collective ambition, whatever you want to call it, to do things different. And I think that's, I'm doing it through education on all of these things. You're doing the same thing in your way. That's just what we're doing because we don't have to go to shit with it.
Exactly. Exactly. We get to be the
Yeah,
leaders, right? Because no matter what happens, we're okay.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
we can I was going to say we can watch it burn down around us, but I mean, ultimately, and then, it's leaders coming together too, just like we are right now.
Yeah,
And inspiring other people and educating other people. And I mean, that's how you change the world, right?
exactly. Exactly. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to learn more about Bitcoin, and now, I've been inspired talking to you, talking to Chad, my partner, life partner, business partner, because he is a life insurance agent. He didn't get it to sell life insurance. He got that license to build wealth. Like this is a tool that we use to build wealth. Same that you do with Bitcoin. The concept of using your money twice, borrowing against, using collateral, growing over here while you're growing over here. So the two seem very similar to me. How, one is Bitcoin, one is the dollar. Um, I am trying to figure out a way to use them both. This is my mission now. Now that you've said that, I talked to him about it and now I'm going out. I want to find a way to fund to either fund a whole life policy with Bitcoin or vice versa. Have a whole life policy where you buy Bitcoin so that it's doing two things at once and ultimately three or four things at once because you've got access to both. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else who's listening or makes sense to you, but I'm always trying to find a way to be the most strategic and the most effective with the resources I have. And I'm like, how can we use both?
Right. And I mean, and that's, you're an innovator. And that's what's going to keep you leading
Yeah.
because just that you want to find out how to do that.
Yeah.
And I bet you will. I have no
Well, and
doubt.
I started researching and I think there are um right, like right now, yes, you have a cash component that you can borrow against. You can fund your investments and your opportunities without traditional bank loans. Like you can do that. That's why I love it. Now with Bitcoin and life insurance, they are starting to converge. I don't know where they are yet. So there are some products that allow Bitcoin to interact with life insurance. I got to find out what those are.
Great.
As a payer of the premiums and the collateral. So I'm going to find out what that is. I'm going to find out how to do that and use that as another strategy. Um, but I really wanted to find out a way to do that because you said it last week. You can be your own bank.
Yes.
And that's the same thing I say when I'm talking about the infinite banking theory through life insurance and all those things. So I just want to teach people how to start doing this in a practical way because I think the use cases are getting more and more, just like you said. We're
Yes.
about to be able to get a mortgage. We're about to be able to buy, I know you can buy real estate. Now, I know somebody who's bought
Yes.
a piece of property using Bitcoin. Um, and there's just so much to it. I don't want to overwhelm everyone with this, but I do want to show that this is the future, that this is a necessary thing to learn about, to educate yourself on. And like I said, if you're not using AI in your business, you're behind. This might be the same thing. Not might be. This is probably the same thing, right? Like this is something we have to start paying attention to. So how then does one start? You obviously are a super nerd. And like I say that with all the
I
love in
know.
my
I
heart.
am. I am.
You're a super nerd and you love to learn and you will go out of your way to absorb as much information as possible and teach yourself things. Not everyone is going to do that. Um, so how does one get started if they feel like I don't know what I'm doing and they don't have the time or the energy to go deep dive into all this stuff and teach themselves all of this information that you have, aside from like hire you to do that for them.
Right. Um, hmm. um,
New business.
um, my personal recommendation is River Financial. I
Okay.
think it's river.com. Let me show
You
you.
need to get an affiliate link.
River.com.
I'm gonna,
Oh, I actually do have an affiliate link if you happen, I can
great.
share that with you.
Yeah, we're gonna put that
I
in the show notes.
Okay, we both earn some Bitcoin that way, but um, I don't I don't recommend Coinbase because I did use Coinbase for a long time and things would happen like, I wanted to sell like right away. This is like back before I knew everything I do now. And it would say, "Oh, sorry, your transaction can't go through. Your transaction," and that kept happening and happening. And then they changed their whole privacy policy stuff. And basically, if anything happens to Coinbase and they go bankrupt and you leave you have your Bitcoin on there, it's gone. Uh, they get to take it. So River Financial is river.com, but it's basically like opening a bank account. So it's an exchange. And so, yes, you have to give them personal information, right? You have to verify your identity and all those things. And that I believe I like them because they have safety protocols in place that outdo kind of everybody else. And like I said, they're original, like way, way back OG uh, Bitcoin guys.
Hmm.
And they're all of the big, like, you you don't want to keep your all of your Bitcoin on an exchange. And this is going to be a conversation for another time, because there's another component to this. Yes, you can purchase it on River, for example. I do leave some on there because it's fast, and it's if I need something or I need to move around or whatever or transfer it to somebody. Um, and I've got the necessary safety precautions set up on there. They have this thing called a force field. So even if someone were to get into your account, for example, they can't transfer Bitcoin off of there. Um, and then, but then, you also you don't actually own it unless it's on what's called a hardware wallet. And
Right.
it's kind of similar to like external hard drive, those little
Hmm.
things plug in.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, it doesn't actually go on there. It's on the blockchain. Okay. Your Bitcoin stays on the blockchain, but they're called keys, which is really a password,
Hmm.
is on that device. And that's what proves your ownership of it.
Yep.
And that is very important. And we'll get into this next time, but you don't ever want to share though that with anybody. You write it down, but you don't take a picture of it, those kinds of things, because it's protected by they're 12 to 24 words that you
Hmm.
that you write down. If you lose those words, you lose your Bitcoin. So there's definitely things, safety precautions that we have to have in place in order to make sure it's safe. But to answer your question, I think the easiest thing to do is to set up an account with them, and you can purchase as little as you want. You could buy $5. You can buy $500. You can buy an entire Bitcoin. Start out small and watch.
Yes.
I wouldn't say watch it obsessively, but that would be where you start, is just to open an account and purchase some and just keep it there. Make sure you double authenticate or whatever your account. And then we'll continue our conversation so that everyone knows what's in you next.
That's awesome. No, the more we talk, the more I'm like, this needs to be a bigger thing. So what I'm going to do with my audience, and I'm going to ask you to do too, is take a poll, take a survey, something. Who would want to be part of a bigger thing, like a course, a class, a workshop, something to learn about this from you with me facilitating? I'll give as much, info as I can. Um, I would love to put something together with you if you're open to it and if we have an audience for it. I'm just throwing that out.
Yes,
You have all the time in the world.
yes, I definitely want to, because honestly, this is something I've been wanting to talk about with somebody else besides
Yeah,
my husband.
yeah,
And but we also talk about, I can already tell you that my audience wants to.
great,
Yes. I can already tell you that because I introduce them to Bitcoin
great.
at one level, and then in my mastery group we discuss it. We're always discussing it. So I can tell you that they definitely want that.
I like it. I like it. Awesome. Well, to be continued once again. Thank you, Megan, for indulging me in this conversation. I know, again, that this can be intimidating, it can be confusing, it can be scary. We're completely turning everything we've ever thought about money, about spending, saving, all of it on its head for good reason, because the world is changing and we want to be changing along with it. So, I
Yes.
appreciate you bringing us your serious depth of knowledge on this topic. We're going to be innovators. We're going to continue the conversation. I really am excited about putting this together in a framework that other people can come on board with and learn from you, from us, and start really dipping their toe in. Like you said, I always say, start small. Take those small steps, get some small wins, build that confidence muscle, and then work your way into it from there. Because really, you can learn all you want. You can read all the books, all the blogs, listen to all the podcasts, but none of it matters if you do not take action. Confidence comes from taking action, not from learning more stuff. So,
Right, and that's the same for business. And the
yeah,
greatest thing is that we're still early. So this is like a perfect time. And often people are like, "Oh, it's too expensive. We're too late." Actually, we're early
right.
because if you look at an adoption curve for technology
Mhm.
we're actually in the early majority. We just got into the early majority.
Great.
So this is great timing.
Perfect. All right. Well, again, to be continued. I look forward to it again. Thanks, Megan.
Yes, thank you, Amanda.
Everybody have a great day. All right, so before we wrap up, I just want to say a few things. First, and this is very important, nothing we just discussed is financial advice. This is education, this is conversation, but we're not advising anyone to invest in anything. You need to do your own research, talk to your own financial people, and make your own decisions. Second, here's some real life transparency for you. Right after I recorded this conversation with Megan, I was so inspired that I went out and bought some Bitcoin, like literally that day. And guess what happened? It went down significantly, and it's expected to continue going down for a while, which is exactly the lesson that Megan and I talked about. Volatility is part of this. The emotional bandwidth piece, the don't invest more than you can afford to lose piece, all of that. So, this is me in real time, learning what it means to ride the wave, learning what it means to zoom out instead of zooming in, and learning what my own risk tolerance actually is when it's real money on the line. Now, I've done it before, but that's the reality of any investment, crypto, stocks, real estate, whatever. There's always risk. There are always ups and downs. And the only way you learn how to handle it is by actually doing it. So, yeah, my Bitcoin is down right now, along with everybody else, and I'm okay with it because this isn't money I needed next month. This is money I'm thinking about in years and not weeks, but that's the choice I made for me with money I could afford to put at risk. Your situation is different. Your risk tolerance is different. Your timeline is different. So please, please do your own research. Start small if you start at all, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Now, here's what I want to know from you. Megan and I talked about creating something bigger around this, like a course, a workshop series, or ongoing Bitcoin education community where we break this stuff down in real practical terms. But I only want to build it if you actually want it. So here's what I need you to do. Screenshot this episode, post it on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and tell me, do you want more of this? Do you want us to go deeper? Are you interested in learning Bitcoin from the ground up in a way that doesn't make your brain hurt? So tag me in a post and just, I want to see your responses, because if enough of you are like, yes, please teach me this, then we're going to build something amazing. If not, we'll keep it to occasional episodes. But I need to hear from you because I'm not building something that nobody wants. So tag me, let me know. Should we make Bitcoin education a bigger thing? Next week, as promised, we're getting back to that cash flow conversation, because how you manage your cash flow really is a leadership signal, and most of us are making those decisions emotionally instead of strategically. But that's next week, so thanks for being here. Thank you again to Megan for teaching us. Now, go tell me what you want to learn next, and until then, keep building.
If this lit something up, share it, review it, and get in the room. Join the Expand Your Empire community and start turning wisdom into wealth. You're not too late, and you're not doing this alone.